for a conversation with municipal leaders, and I'm very glad to see that tradition continuing this morning. Alors, je suis ravi d'avoir.
I'm delighted to welcome the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, to the convention this morning, the FCM.
Carney to FCM this morning. Not only is he the new PM, he's also a newly elected MP from Ottawa, from the riding of Nepean. So he's a local MP. So I'm very pleased to introduce him not just as our Prime Minister, but as a local representative. And I've had several conversations with Mr. Carney before and since he entered politics, and I can tell you he is very interested in the concerns of municipal leaders. He has also been very clear that he wants to lead a transformative government that delivers results for Canadians. And many of those results are in areas that we care about, that are important to us as municipal leaders. It's been very encouraging to hear the Prime Minister and his colleagues in the new government speak about some of our priorities, including building a strong and resilient economy, making housing more affordable, removing barriers to interprovincial trade, and keeping communities safe. These are exactly the issues that we've been discussing as municipal leaders, including today at this conference. And I know all of us are ready to work with the new government on achieving these goals. In fact, we want to be at the table as these important decisions are being made. Nous sommes prêts à collaborer,
We are ready to work together, to do our share of the work, and to work with all of the people in government to obtain the best results for the Canadian population.
Thing about Mark Carney, he's an Edmonton Oilers fan, so he's going to be in a good mood this morning. So I'm looking forward to a very interesting and productive discussion this morning led by the President of FCM, Rebecca Bly. Would you now please join me in welcoming the new Prime Minister of Canada, the Right Honourable Mark Carney.
Wow. J'aime la fédération.
I like this federation.
Just soak it in. Merci beaucoup, Mr. Sutcliffe.
Thank you, Mr. Sutcliffe. Thank you, Mark.
A marathon and a sprint. 48 marathons as of last weekend, running the Ottawa Marathon again. I tell you, the one time I ran the Ottawa Marathon, I was still on an IV drip on the Friday. Mark's bouncing around, building a better city. I would like to, and I want to underscore something where Mark started. You know, I am the proud member of Parliament for Nepean. And Nepean, come on, everybody up. No, but, and it's one of our strengths of our system, of our parliamentary system, is that all 343 members of Parliament have the honor of serving their constituencies. In other words, they are grounded in their communities. And if you're grounded in your community, the issues that you are facing, the issues that you tackle every day, are front and center. And so it should be front and center in all of our minds, from the newly minted MPs to the Prime Minister to the Senators. What can we do to build stronger cities, stronger communities, safer communities? And I want to say a few words on that today, and then we'll have a Q&A. I do want to thank Rebecca and Carol for the kind invitation today, particularly Rebecca, because she's going to ask me questions in a moment. And I would like to thank each and every one of the municipal leaders here today for the work that you are doing to build stronger communities across our great country. Our collaboration between the federal government and municipalities, all municipalities, is more important than ever as we are at a hinge moment in Canada's history. It is a more dangerous and divided world, unfortunately. Geopolitical risks are rising, and they are threatening our sovereignty. The global trading system, which has helped power, Canada's prosperity for decades is undergoing the biggest transformation since the fall of the Berlin Wall. And closer to home, our long-standing weak productivity is beginning to strain government finances. It's certainly making life less affordable for Canadian families, and it's threatening to undermine the vital social programs, including childcare, on which Canadians rely. It's very important. It's all are welcome here at the FCM. It's good. Canada's new government will address these challenges head-on, with focus, determination, and innovation. And that innovation goes straight to our partnership. Because much of that response to those global challenges, the response to global challenges begins right here at home in our municipalities, where together we can build a stronger, safer Canada. Et le moment est maintenant.
Now is the time. The weeks and months to come will be of capital importance for us. It may seem intimidating, but as His Majesty the King reminded us of this week, it is also a great and exceptional opportunity, an opportunity for renewal, an opportunity for being ambitious and brave, an opportunity to carry out the biggest transformation in our economy since the Second World War.
And fundamentally, our partnership will be vital to turning those opportunities into realities. And Canada's new government will be a reliable partner to Canada's municipalities on a wide range of issues, But I'm going to... Yeah. Thank you. I want to focus my brief remarks. I've been told to be brief. It's a bit late for that. But I want to focus on three specifics, starting with housing. And in response to the housing crisis that we all know has been eroding Canadian standards of living, the federal government is acting to improve affordability in the short, medium, and long term. The nouveau gouvernement du Canada.
The new government of Canada is acting immediately by cutting HST for a first house that costs $1 million or less, and reducing this tax between 1 and 1.5 billion. This is added to the lowering in tax for the middle classes that will allow families to save up to $840 per year.
What are we doing in the medium and long term? We will create Build Canada Homes, a lean, mission-driven organization that will accelerate the development of deeply affordable housing projects, that will catalyze an entirely new housing industry based on Canadian technology, Canadian workers, and Canadian lumber. And will provide $25 billion in financing for affordable home builders. In parallel, we will work above and beyond that. We will work with you to slash development charges in half for all multi-unit housing over the next 5 years, alongside the provinces and territories, while making, crucial point, while making municipalities whole through federal investments in water, power lines, and wastewater. No, these things cost money. We're not going to give lectures. We're going to give help and assistance so we can all move forward. Yeah. And in parallel, we're going to take a pragmatic approach by doubling down on what's already working. I know from meeting with mayors across the country in recent months that many of you have already signed on. I know I didn't meet with all the mayors who've signed on, but many of you have signed on to the Housing Accelerator Fund, which is unlocking tens of thousands of new homes across the country. So because we listen, we will reinforce the Housing Accelerator Fund. And we're taking these measures and more at scale, because we recognize that business as usual just won't work, that young Canadians can't wait any longer to have the same opportunities to own a home that previous generations such as mine enjoyed. Now, those opportunities for young Canadians must include great careers in the strongest economy in the G7. And that's why, that's the key. That's the key to affordability. We can do supply, but we also need the great careers and the incomes that come from that. So in face of foreign threats, no prize for guessing what I'm saying. I'm trying to learn some diplomacy from the king. In the face of foreign threats, a core priority of this government is to build projects of national significance, projects that reinforce our country's resilience, projects that connect Canada, projects that partner with Indigenous peoples, that diversify our trading partners and create a more sustainable future for all.
Projects such as the high-speed train between Windsor and Quebec, and the one linked to the ports and the commercial infrastructures are essential to diversify our trade partnerships and to create good careers and to deal with the low productivity, which for many years now has been preventing the Canadian economy from reaching its full potential.
We will move from delay to delivery, ensuring that the Canadian government becomes a catalyst for, not an impediment to, nation-building projects that will supercharge growth in communities both large and small. And in parallel, Canada's new government will work with you and work relentlessly to keep Canadians safe in their communities. We will soon introduce legislation to strengthen our border, to fight the traffic of guns and drugs coming into our country.
Also, we will strengthen our police force by giving them useful tools to fight crime, and we will hire an additional 1,000 police force agents within the RCMP. We will strengthen the criminal code to set up more severe penalties for those who threaten Canadian security and safety, and we will make bail more difficult for reoffenders and people who steal cars, offenders who steal cars, and home thefts, traffic of persons or traffic of drugs.
Immediately following the election, I stressed two things. The first is that the federal government, in partnership with others, must act with urgency and determination if we are going to build that strong, safe economy. And secondly, we intend to govern by working with others, by working together. We know that we can give ourselves far more than any foreign government can ever take away. By working together, we can accomplish great things. We can directly address and solve the housing crisis. We can invest in projects that grow local economies, projects that connect our cities and towns to each other and to the wider world. We can build safer, stronger communities. We can make and build the best country in the world even better. So let's build big, build bold, build now, build together. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. now I go there.
That's a pretty impressive standing ovation, and we haven't even asked the tough questions yet.
I should quit while I'm ahead.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister, for being here. Let me just say a sincere congratulations on the Oilers, of course.
It's all me. I taught him in that brief skate that I had with them. I taught him a few tricks. That McDavid, that breakaway goal, which I mean, that was fantastic. That was a fantastic. Anyways.
Your legacy lives on with your reputation there with hockey, but also with municipal government, with the words that you've just shared. We're starting off on such an important foot. And can you believe Monday was just Monday that the government came, and the Royals were here on Tuesday, and now here we are on Friday. And I have to say, it's a full circle moment for me and as president of FCM, because I had the serendipitous moment to be sitting next to the Prime Minister January 15th, the day that you announced you were running for the Liberal leadership. And I couldn't have really missed that opportunity to both introduce myself, but also to invite you here. And I think the conversation went, should it all work out for you? Should you become Liberal leader? And then should you become Prime Minister? Would you come to our annual conference? And you actually asked me what the date was. And I thought that was pretty impressive. This is a details person. And so here we are. You said you would be here. You're here. You're already making good on your promises. Thank you so much. So
it just shows you have a president that plans ahead, plans for all contingencies. I wasn't the only person you invited. I think that's
you were the.
Let's be clear.
You were the only one that I got to sit next to on a plane, I must say. But that's also very true. So we have such an. We're going to have a really great weekend here. You're kicking us off in a really great way by being here. Look around this room. These are local elected leaders that are oftentimes leading their communities while also holding a full-time job. They're passionate about their communities. They get what matters most. They're accountable to their neighbors, their friends in the grocery store, at the hockey arenas to deliver. And as you know, and you're learning, I'm sure, and we know well, nobody cares what level of government is responsible for what. They just want to know that it's getting done. And so what's so important is for us to be working together as partners, and we want to set us off on the right foot to do that. So you touched on housing. Build Canada Homes. It's a very exciting, we support that at FCM, and we recognize that we play a critical role as municipalities and local governments in terms of zoning and planning and linking homes to infrastructure planning and all the pieces that go along with it. So could you share just a little more in detail about how you see the federal government working with municipalities to deliver on that ambitious goal?
Yeah. So I'll touch on a few aspects of this, and maybe I'll start with what's been working or what's new that's been working that we want to reinforce. So when we look at the Housing Accelerator, just under $4.5 billion allocated for that. There's already more than 240, I think, agreements that have been signed up with municipalities, also an agreement with Quebec in order to move down through in that system. We've got sightline on about 125,000 new homes that are going to come as a consequence of that. But it's translating. It's really about accelerating speed, right? So there's different ways. There can be more bylaw officers. There can be permitting, other aspects that's accelerating. Just moving from concept to actually build. When we look at Build Canada Home, that's the first aspect. The second is this cutting in half of development charges so that and this will be something that we'll be talking about with the provinces directly. There's the week extends to the weekend, as you know, and you're all working through the weekend. I'll be going to Saskatoon for the First Ministers meeting on Sunday and Monday, and this will be part of what we'll be discussing. On Build Canada Homes, if you're going to give me a second to drill into that. So there's several aspects here. The first is the federal government has been out of the business of building homes and building deeply affordable homes, and that has been part of the problem that's built up over time. It is not the sole contributor to homelessness, but it is a contributing factor, and we need to turn that around. And when we speak to deeply affordable homes, we're touching on that, but then we're moving up the chain, if you will, to affordable housing as well. Our view is that the scale of the problem is so large, the housing problem is so large, that we need to catalyze a different mode of building a large number of homes, not all homes, but a large number of homes. And we can do that by building at scale ourselves first. More modular, more prefab, more reinforced timber, cheaper processes to build. We think we can build about 20% cheaper just in overall capital costs, run more efficiently, and then twin that with these savings on development costs as well as development charges as well, but also freeing up a lot of federal land in order to do this. So build with density, build multi-units, build at scale, and then in parallel with that, as that gets started, provide considerable financing to $25 billion, which is considerable by anyone's estimate, to private sector and other developers who are building affordable homes that have broadly consistent specs, but not overly engineered specs. I mean, this will be part of the element of it, so that we're getting those scale benefits and we're getting the industrial benefits in Canada. If I can make one other point, I know we're short on, making us shorter on time, but is that we also want to send a very clear signal to younger Canadians in terms of just the scale of opportunities that will be available in the skilled trades. We're not creating hundreds of thousands of jobs, we're creating hundreds of thousands of careers in the skilled trades because this building program in housing, coupled with the nation-building projects, mean that we're going to be building this country for the next quarter century. And that's tremendously exciting, but it means that and there's lots of other things connected to how we're going to help people get those skills, but I'll have that.
No, it wasn't lost on me that the King himself of England talked about municipal DCCs in the throne speech. And it was really a moment where I thought, I think our message is getting through. This is great. And it is important that we recognize that without toilets to flush and roads and bridges, we can't necessarily absorb. And that's really where municipalities see themselves as partners. You talk about the upcoming meeting in Saskatoon, of course. Not necessarily municipal representation at that meeting yet, and yet we want to be sure that we are in lockstep with these programs, because what we've had an experience of, and we've been very grateful to have the Prime Minister visit us in previous years, I think 10 years running, this is the 11th, so thank you again for being here, is that we can work together to design programs that we can be in the proactive conversations around how they're being shaped, so that all municipalities, rural or urban, and everyone in between can be good partners in terms of the rapid deployment of what you're looking to achieve in your ambitious housing goals. Yes, I know we're out of time already. One thing that I want to leave our he's got time. Did everyone heard that, right? So, I think that what we want to really hear from you is at this point in time, we have, weathered a lot of storms. COVID is a great example. Municipalities were at the front lines of that response, and we continue to be. Homelessness crisis, mental health, addictions. We've got public safety, of course, on your agenda and ours as a primary concern. And what we're looking to have is a structured, collaborative, mature, and sincere conversation about how to reform our fiscal tools as municipalities that were designed in sort of the horse and cart era and yet we're tackling 21st century modern day challenges that aren't going to go away. So our ask to you, Prime Minister, is to work with us on designing what that looks like in terms of a new fiscal program that, as you said, keeps municipalities whole and makes sure that we can grow this country together with all orders of government working in partnership with one another. And if you would make that commitment to work with us in that conversation as we continue working together in the coming months and years.
Right.
You've left me time for one question. You've got a doozy.
I was going to say, you packed a lot into that. I think the first thing I'd say is that what's essential in any partnership and certainly anything related to infrastructure and building at scale is scale and predictability, right? So it has to be big enough to get the attention of you all, the attention of builders, but it has to be predictable. It can't be stop-start. It can't be short-term projects. It can't. The funding models can't have contingencies, and alignment are important, but they can't be arbitrary and unpredictable. I mean, so it's crucial that there's clarity. Second thing is to build on and reinforce what's working. So I mentioned the Housing Accelerator Fund, there's Community Building Fund. I know there's conversations around that, and you have some recommendations there. Build Canada Homes is at scale because of that. And then the other thing I would put on the table, and then I'll go to your heart of your question, is these nation-building projects and how they will connect our country and connect beyond. And it's important that, for example, what we look at on trade infrastructure is linking municipalities, large and small, into the ports, and that is trade infrastructure, okay? As well as building out ports or building new ports, and there will be some major new ports that are built, new trade and energy corridors that will be built. I mean, again, it's subject to the agreements there. In terms of the fiscal instruments, if that's what you're getting at, I think that conversation or those decisions are bigger sets of decisions which necessarily involve the provinces first and foremost. Where we can help is, of course, being part or curating those discussions, but I don't think we can wait for those discussions. And that's why where we focused in is specific types of infrastructure, specific housing programs, a sustained dialogue, not just at this level on the stage, but at all levels through the FCM, at all levels through municipalities, municipal leaders, so that we're doing what works. And we're building on what has worked, we're learning lessons from what hasn't, and that there's a shared understanding that you're central to every aspect of people's lives, effectively, but also to the economic agenda, which I'll just maybe finish to underscore, is very ambitious, is very positive, is very collaborative, but is entirely achievable because this is Canada.
And thank you for that, Prime Minister. As you mentioned, we will be able to build, and we are continuing to build, a country that works for all Canadians. The theme of our conference is Stronger Together, and that is true and true as we go into this next year of planning. We look forward to further conversations with you and your ministers who came yesterday. We had great conversations, and we very much appreciate your engagement and also your commitment to shared goals and shared priorities that we have been championing as municipalities for a very long time. So I think we've got a lot to build on. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much to Prime Minister Carney for being with us this morning. Thank you also to Mayor Sutcliffe and FCM President Rebecca Bly. How about that, folks? We had a councillor, a big city mayor, and a prime minister here with us this morning, all focused on